Hey guys, Adam Tumanero here with Alesis Drums, and I'm here at Sweetwater today to tell you about the newest Strata kit. This is the Strata Club. Now, you might be familiar with the two older brothers or older sisters of this kit. That would be the Strata Prime and the Strata Core. I was here maybe 6 or 8 months ago to film this exact video for the Strata Core, but today we're talking all about Club. Now, the reason I mentioned the Strata Core is because that is the module that this entire kit is based around. So this is the Strata Core module. If you know anything about that particular module or that drum set, the module itself is the exact same one on the Club. So the main difference from the Club to the Core is that the Club, the kit we're playing today, has much smaller of a footprint. All of the hardware and a lot of the sizes have been dramatically reduced in size. So this is a very compact kit that I think is really well suited for anyone who wants to take an eKit on a gig, if you're playing or rehearsing with really limited space, or just really simplified content creation as well. All of those purposes, all of those use cases, you're going to want high quality technology in your module, which is, incredible in the Core, but we have this really reduced sized kit, so there's a lot of upsides to that, and we're going to talk through some of the sizes and specifics of this kit in today's video. For drums, we obviously have our 12-inch snare, we have 10 for our toms, and then 8-inch for our mesh kick tower down at the bottom. But for cymbals, we have 12-inch hi-hats, 12-inch crash cymbal, and a 14-inch ride cymbal. Now, all of these are Alesis's Arc 360 technology. Really, it just means that you can spin the cymbal completely around in a circle. You never have to worry about hitting a dead zone on a cymbal. One of my least favorite features of eKits is when we have these pizza slice areas that we have to play within, and if that cymbal rotates and moves around, you just end up playing the plastic rear of the cymbal where it doesn't actually pick anything up. So the fact that these are 360, they're just incredible cymbals. The technology is amazing. The 12-inch hi-hats are running the same exact magnetic hi-hat technology that you'll find on the Core and on the Prime as well. So the hi-hats are incredibly responsive, cymbals are incredibly responsive. Let me show you a couple of the cool things that they can actually do. For the rack itself, it is the same quality as the Strata rack. So it's reinforced steel. All of your crossbars are curved, which gives you a nice little wrap. The drum set kind of wraps around you when you're playing. But the length of these crossbars is so incredibly short. It's roughly 18 inches for each crossbar. So it gives you enough space to mount 1 or 2 toms and a cymbal. But it just makes the entire footprint so small. Obviously, it's hard to tell you exactly what any drum set's footprint is going to be because everyone sets up their kit a little bit different. But the setup that I have now, we're not even exceeding 4 feet in width from this leg to this leg. So it is an incredibly narrow, compact kit. Again, it just takes up such a small amount of space, which is a huge upside for a lot of drummers. So we know that this module is the Core module, and we've talked about the hardware quite a bit. But let me tell you a little bit about this module, just in case you haven't actually seen this thing before. So there is a 7-inch touchscreen on this module. It's running about 75 kits, and a majority of those are actually from BFD. Now, BFD is part of the Alesis family, so these aren't sounds that we have, let's say, gone and purchased from strangers. The sample library itself was actually developed in collaboration with the Strata module, so these kits sound absolutely incredible. They're also being processed on board with a multi-core processor, which is pretty unique for any drum module. So this module can output sounds that normally you would have to incorporate a laptop just to process them in real time. So there is a massive, powerful, incredible sample library inside this module, but the module is capable of processing it on board in real time. So for a lot of gigs, you can leave the laptop at home. Again, just pushing that theme that you can make a really powerful, compact setup using the Strata Club. Now, let me show you some of my favorite kits on here. One of the things that I've loved about all of the Strata modules, the Prime and Core, is that there's not a tremendous amount of what I would call silly or novel or goofy sounding kits. It is really fun to do that with electronic kits, but for me, I've always looked at these as really high-end professional tools. That's why I want a kit like this. That's what would make me shop for anything in the Strata line. So within the module, it's clearly been prioritized that the kits are supposed to sound good and useful. So let me cycle through a few of my favorite presets that stand out to me. I'll pick a few different genres because there are some that are just absolutely incredible out of that BFD library. Obviously, you can expand your drums and cymbals on this kit. So for inputs, there is a proprietary snake cable that comes with the core module, and there are two TRS cables that you can use to add any triggers that you want. So those are capped off, they're on the snake, but if you added an extra drum or a cymbal, you've already got those two cables that are coming out of the snake cable in the back of this module. Then there's two additional inputs. You can add up to 4 extra triggers on this kit, and then we'll go straight into the core module. All right, now let me take you through some of my favorite features of the core module. Now again, you may have seen these before because this is not the first video on the core module or the Prime module, but again, this functionality is just incredible. I want to take you guys through some of my standout features of this module. So to select your kits, you're going to start up here at this knob. This is the easiest way. You rotate it and it will go through all 75 of the kits. You just press that knob to actually select. It'll ask you if you want to save any changes that you made. In this case, we do not. Now you can also press this button up here, browse, and it takes you to your list of all 75 kits, and then you just double tap whichever one you'd like. Now you'll see here at our home screen, we have 6 knobs at the bottom, and they correspond to different things that are directly above them on the screen. As we change screens, the functionality of each one of these knobs will also change depending on what you see on the actual touchscreen. So we have our overall kit volume, we have our track volume. You can Bluetooth in a song and jam along to it, or import songs into the actual module itself for storage. We have our click volume, that adjusts the built-in metronome that is inside of the module. Ambience volume or reverb over the entire kit. This is one of my favorites here. This is a hi-hat bottom adjustment. So if you were playing your hi-hat on a gig and you accidentally hit your clutch with your drumstick and you loosened it and it moved, well, eKits all have slightly finicky hi-hats, right? It's one of the more difficult pieces of technology to solve for. The ability to quickly adjust that bottom position sensor can save you inside of a gig where your position is actually moved. So it's a quick calibration knob is how I think of it. Really, really useful for certain situations. Now on this home screen here, when we have our kit displayed, you can touch any component of the kit, literally, just press the snare drum, and then it brings up your snare drum. So now our 6 knobs on the bottom are editing different things. Now we're editing the snares volume, damping on the snare itself. Let me show you what that sounds like. So you can absolutely moon gel it to death, or keep it wide open. Attack, which is effectively compression. Tuning is one of my favorites. Dynamic sensitivity, and then panning over on the far right. Now, one cool thing I have not seen talked about too much is when we, let me go ahead and select my ride cymbal. When we have a cymbal selected, these knobs stay the same, including tuning. Really like that. Good way to get a dark ride and then a bright pingy ride without actually changing the model. Now, if you wanted to change the model of any cymbal or drum, again, you just press whichever component you want to edit, and then here, you can just twist this knob and it will rotate through the entire library. Now, if you wanted to get a little more specific, you can go into the edit menu up here, and all of our cymbals and drums, every sound is going to be organized with these categories on the right. So we can hit class, where we would select kick, snare, tom, and then it will show you, if we select kick, all of the kick drums that are built inside of this kit. Now, I'm about to assign a kick drum to my ride. Let me not do that. We'll go back here to the kick drum, open up all of our kick drums here. Now, this is one of my favorite features. Whenever we want to audition or preview a specific kick sound, well, instead of loading it up, playing it, seeing whether or not we like it, and then making a decision, we can actually tap dynamically to preview every single sample. Notice that as I tap left to right, the actual dynamics change, right? It gets louder, and it's pulling different samples from the library, because a quiet kick sample is not the same as the loudest kick sample. Air gets forced through the drums, creating a lot of times, growls in different tones, and that's part of a high quality sample library. You can hear all of that just by tapping dynamically left to right. And again, I'm not loading these sounds, I'm auditioning them or previewing them, and this is so much faster than actually assigning one, playing it, and then seeing if I like it. So a really fast way to edit the entire kit. And again, you just touch a drum and then preview from your entire list. Really cool. Let's go back to the home screen here, and I will show you another one of my favorite menus. That would be the mix menu. This is when you realize how powerful this unit actually is. So the core module effectively has DAW style editing inside of it, including an entire library or a suite of plugins. So here you can see this looks a lot like Logic or Pro Tools or any standard DAW window. We have our kick drum selected. We can adjust the individual volume. We have mute and solo. Now, if we go down here, kick effects, there's currently nothing assigned, but if I hit this plus sign right here, it brings up an effects library. So if we wanted to add, let's just say, a compressor to our kick drum, in here, these are all presets. So if we selected energy number 1, there, and then we can go back to listen to it, or we can just save it right here as well. Now I have a air compressor added to my kick channel. Now, I already mentioned that the core module has Bluetooth enabled, but there's some really other cool wireless tech features that just make this thing easy to use in a lot of different scenarios. One thing a lot of people don't know is that the core module is Wi-Fi enabled. So Alesis has the ability to update this module. If you give it permission settings, technically it could update in the middle of the night, so you wake up to new drum sets. But of course, we use this functionality for things like bug fixes, even things like moving little buttons around. As we get user feedback, we can get this module dialed in, we can keep our library up to date, we can add sounds. So there's a lot of cool things about having a module like this that's just very tech savvy in a lot of ways. So between a lot of the tech features, the onboard processing, things like Bluetooth and Wi-Fi capabilities, this unit is so intuitive and powerful, it feels like a very modern piece of technology in a space within the drum industry that sometimes can feel a little bit dated and clunky and sometimes confusing. This is a really intuitive piece of technology, so it's incredibly powerful, and there's not much of a learning curve when you sit down. So much of its functionality and its features are just really easy to pick up, understand, and put to use in a lot of different scenarios. All right, guys, that is my overview for you of the Alesis Strata Club. This thing is an absolute blast to play. It's been really fun to get to know the kit here a little bit. I'm already familiar with the module, but seeing this the physical setup, the hardware, how compact it is, but still how well it plays, how well it feels in person, it's a really impressive kit, and I absolutely love that that small size kits are no longer strongly associated with what you would call beginner kits, right? We have pro level technology in a really compact drum set, so it feels like a unique entry for me, and I like this kit a lot. So thanks so much to Sweetwater for having me out. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed learning about this kit, and if you want to learn any more about the Alesis Strata lineup, make sure to call your Sweetwater sales engineer. Thanks, guys. Adam Tumanero here, and I'll see you in the next one.